Mike Wallace had hopes of making a comeback, but NASCAR denied his request. And what's up with the latest controversy surrounding race manipulation? NASCAR officials are cracking down harder than ever, warning drivers that any attempts to influence results unfairly could lead to a ban. But first, let's start with Wallace's situation.
Ryan Blaney has won his way into the championship.
A great day for Kyle Larson.
Seventh career win in his 100th.
Joey Logano takes the checkered flag.
Hell yeah,
Mike Wallace wanted to race in the 2025 Daytona 500, but his plans did not go as expected. He thought he had received clearance from NASCAR, but when the competition department reviewed his case, they rejected him. This left him frustrated and confused because he had already started preparing for the race. Wallace had won at Daytona before, and he was looking forward to racing again, especially as a way to honor his late wife. Now, it looks unlikely that he will ever compete in NASCAR's top series again. The situation started when Wallace reached out to NASCAR for guidance on how to return to racing. On December 23rd, he sent a message asking about the steps he needed to take. NASCAR responded on January 1st. Wallace took this as a sign that things were moving in the right direction. He assumed that he was close to being cleared, so he started making arrangements. He found sponsors, got a seat fitted, and prepared for the Daytona 500. But when January 13th arrived, NASCAR officially denied his request. This was a major shock for Wallace because he had been under the impression that he was nearly approved. NASCAR explained that the process had not been done correctly. Elton Sawyer from the competition department said that Wallace had assumed approval too early, and the competition department is the only group that can give the final clearance for drivers. And they had not made a decision until January 13th. Wallace's confusion came from the fact that he had spoken with senior NASCAR executives like Steve Phelps. These executives seemed supportive, but they were not the ones who made the final call. Because Wallace was rejected, NASCAR did offer him a path back to racing. But the requirements were tough. In order to be eligible for the 2026 Daytona 500, he would need to race in 3 different types of events in 2025. He would have to compete in a mile-and-a-half Xfinity Series race, a Super Speedway Xfinity Series race, and a short track or road course race in the next-gen car. This would help him get adjusted to NASCAR's current cars and prove that he was ready to compete. Wallace said that this path was nearly impossible for him. He explained that securing sponsorships, funding cars, and getting opportunities in competitive teams would be extremely difficult. At his age, with limited financial backing, he believed that he would never race in the Cup Series again. This was a huge disappointment for him because he had been preparing for a return to Daytona, a place where he had won multiple times before. Even though Wallace was disappointed, looking at the facts of the situation, NASCAR never officially told him he was cleared. The email he received only said that they did not anticipate issues, not that he was approved. While it is understandable that he was excited, the final decision always comes from the competition department, not NASCAR's senior leadership. The rejection was not a sudden reversal, it was simply a decision that had not been made yet. Now that Wallace is out of the race, attention shifts to the open cars list for the 2025 Daytona 500. This year's event will have the largest field since 2015, with 36 chartered entries and 9 open cars. That means at least 4 drivers will be sent home after the qualifying duels. Cora LaJoie will be driving the 0-1 car for Ryomi Brothers Racing. Justin Allgaier will compete in Junior Motorsports' first ever Cup Series attempt in the 40 car. JJ Ely will drive for NY Racing, and Martin Triggs Jr. is making a return with Trackhouse Racing. Anthony Alfredo will race for Beard Motorsports, while Chandler Smith is taking over the 66 ride, which was originally expected to go to Mike Wallace. Other big names include BJ McLeod in the Live Fast Motorsports car, Jimmy Johnson in a Carvana-sponsored Toyota for Legacy Motor Club, and Helio Castro-Neves in the 91 car for Project 91. Because there are more drivers than available spots, the qualifying duels will be more intense than usual. Some well-known names might not make the cut, which adds more excitement to the race, and one of the biggest stories is Justin Allgaier's attempt with Junior Motorsports. The team has been dominant in the Xfinity Series for years, but this will be their first entry in the Cup Series. If they perform well, it could open door for more junior motorsports entries in the future. Jimmy Johnson is also in a tough position. Even though he is a 7-time Cup Series champion, he will have to fight for a spot like everyone else. If he does not qualify through the duels, he could miss out on the Daytona 500. That would be a shocking result for a driver of his caliber. NASCAR also made a strong statement about race manipulation by threatening to ban drivers from the 2025 Daytona 500. This warning came after controversy in the 2024 season when teams used questionable tactics to help their teammates. NASCAR made it clear that any attempt to influence race results unfairly would lead to serious consequences. This decision has sparked debate among drivers, teams, and fans, with many questioning if the sport's rules need to be stricter. The controversy started at Martinsville Speedway during the Xfinity 500. In the final laps, some drivers worked together to change the playoff standings. Chevrolet's Ross Chastain and Austin Dillon blocked for William Byron, while Toyota's Bubba Wallace slowed down to let Christopher Bell pass. Bell's pass included a wall ride, which NASCAR had already banned. This made fans and insiders furious, as they believed these actions were against the spirit of competition. NASCAR officials were also upset and decided to take action. Instead of punishing the drivers or car manufacturers directly, NASCAR penalized team members. This decision led to further debate, as many believed harsher penalties were needed. To prevent similar incidents, NASCAR officials warned drivers before the championship race that any form of race manipulation would result in missing the Daytona 500. Joey Logano, the 2024 NASCAR Cup Series champion, confirmed this warning during an interview. He said that NASCAR officials made it clear to every driver that if they manipulated the race, they would not be allowed to compete in the biggest event of the following season. However, since no violations occurred during the championship race, some drivers questioned whether NASCAR would actually follow through with this threat. Logano himself asked if the punishment was real or just an empty warning. Many people believe that stricter penalties are needed for teams and manufacturers. NASCAR's response at Martinsville was seen by some as too weak, as only team members were punished instead of the drivers who benefited. Officials are now discussing whether future penalties should apply directly to manufacturers, or if team actions should lead to harsher consequences. NASCAR wants to ensure that races are fair and that no one gains an unfair advantage by manipulating results. A ban from the Daytona 500 would not only hurt a driver's reputation, but also cost them financially. The 2024 Daytona 500 had a total prize purse of over $28 million. Missing out on such a huge event would be a serious blow to any driver's career. The Daytona 500 is the most famous race in NASCAR, but not being able to compete in it would mean losing out on both money and prestige. The 2024 Daytona 500 was a dramatic race filled with intense moments. It took place on February 19, 2024, after a rain delay. William Byron at Hendrick Motorsports won the race, securing his first victory in the event. Now, before you leave, just don't forget to give this video a like, hit that subscribe button, and also ring that notification bell for more upcoming uploads.